I sold 67 houses the second year, but that was a year that my entire business had to change because that's when the pandemic hit. And I got my first tax bill and I was like, oh my goodness, I got to pay how much money in income tax? This is ridiculous.
Welcome back to the Full Out Real Estate Agent. Today we're speaking with Donald Porter. So Donald has a really great background. So he is a systems and process master. So he's done a couple things here that really you really need to listen to this podcast here because he's automated his business in a way that he's able to make a really solid income and still go on vacation 3 months of the year. So he runs a really, we'll just say his average sale price is 800,000. He does about 28 million in sales volume a year. And it's him and his wife, Julia, that work together. They have 8 VAs and they have another licensed agent that works with them. But he also runs a separate business as well to be able to help agents systemize and build marketing into their day to day as well. So we're going to be diving into that. The program's called the Agent League, if you want to look that up while you're listening to this. But is a marketing guru. We went through a couple of the key kind of concepts that he helps work into the business. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about how to you be able to use trusted sites like LinkedIn to be able to have prospects actually call you. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the marketing funnel to be able to generate more business overall. So we had a really good conversation that went quite a bit longer, like 15, 20 minutes before we got started here. So there's a lot of value you're going to be getting by listening to the show. Donald, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So before we got into real estate, go ahead and share a little bit about your backstory and what got you into the business.
Well, yeah. So my backstory is I'm a musician. I went to school for classical piano. Played for a celebrity, went and started my own band after that. Traveled, toured, did all the fun stuff a musician would do. And it's probably the hardest sale you'll ever do. Calling up a club that's never heard of you, saying, hey, can I come play for your crowd and get paid and sell my own CDs? And there's no value I bring at all. I'm not bringing anyone new to your club. And to get 100 shows a year is hard, but I did it. It was a goal of mine. I got it done. And then from that, I decided to go back to school for marketing and ended up in sales for a while. Started breaking sales records because, again, if I could book my own band into a club, I can sell forklifts. I can sell banners on websites. I can sell, you name it, as my background. I even sold IT, but again, I don't know a lot about IT, but I know people. So all I had to do was show up to these offices, pretend I don't know who I'm talking about just to make sure I get the right decision maker from the receptionist and be like, oh, I'm on the wrong floor. And then turn around, come back 2 months later and she's forgot who I was and tell them, I'm here to see this person and I'm taking them out for coffee. And are you are? Oh, and then they show up and they're IT managers. They don't get invited out for coffee very often. So when they are, they're excited and they give you all the information to just pass them to your back of house. So that's a little bit of me in a nutshell. But where I come into real estate is when I was a musician, I was only ever hired by contractors doing the grunt, brutal labor. And I did a lot of restaurant jobs, so customer service. And then with my marketing background, I went later on to school for marketing. It kind of became the perfect storm for real estate. One thing we're talking about is a book called Godspace, challenged me to get into the industry and help people in vulnerable spots and help them move forward from an emotional state to a productive state, to the next chapter, to that next thing. And for me, it was never about the money, but it was about doing that in a positive and good way that can help others.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool backstory there, and we're both believers, right? So the faith side of it, maybe we'll circle back to that later. And the importance of having that like as a foundation. Maybe we could share for both of us actually in our businesses and how powerful that's been. Um, Going to school, so I get the sales side of it, calling, booking 100. That's interesting. I never even thought of that as being like a thing. You're like, you actually got to call these, locations to be able to get your band booked in. Like that's a huge amount of sales skills. So that and grittiness to be able to make that happen. You went back to school for marketing. And so before you got into real estate, what do you think are like one or two things that you learned prior to getting into real estate? You're like, you know what? I think I can do a really good job bringing these key insights and lessons I learned from school or, your prior experience coming into real estate. What were those one or two things that really helped you?
For marketing, it was understanding consumer psychology. Especially, I had an amazing teacher named Pat Kolodziejski, and she taught me retail marketing. And that retail marketing class and consumer behavior class also, but from our teacher, those two I think are the most useful things that I've used in this business since then. That combined with just my time in the industry, like in the hospitality industry. One thing looking back now from what we've built currently to where it came from being a server at Montana's because I realized the more touch points I have with the table, the higher my tip. And it was always hands in, hands out. I couldn't get my tables turned over fast enough if I was spending an extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes clearing off tables. So I'd always have a tray with me and I'd always have that taken care of. Like, I always have that tray would always be full. Even if it was full of dirty dishes, I'd hold it off to the side, still talk to the client at the customer at the table, but make sure that every time I passed them, I had a conversation. Or if I was bartending, it was efficient. It's everything's about efficiency. If I'm taking this guy's order over here, I'll take an order from this guy over here at the pub, and I'll add them together to get all the bottles of beer I need to get or all the drinks I need to get poured, subtract it, and while I am telling them their price for what they owe me, I'm getting the next order over here. So I'm able to do that multitask situation, which in real estate you wear a lot of hats, but it's about efficiency. Every second that you can do something that you're not doing it, you're wasting what you could be making in the future.
So, if we were to take that into real estate now, because this is like such a valuable, I want to take that key lesson and that key idea with the restaurant is to be able to have these conversations as you're going along. Because when you're not having conversations, it's not as valuable walking back and forth, right? Bringing the dishes in. Um, how important that is that when you are selling real estate to be able to ensure that you're having more conversations per day? Like, how do because this is such a big this is I want to stay here for a second because I think this is one of the biggest reasons why agents aren't successful is because they think they're working, they're texting a lot. They're on MLS. They're looking at properties, but the amount of time if they were to clock, if stopwatch around their neck and actually clock in the amount of minutes that they speak with potential buyers and sellers, it would be very, very, very few. If they were really to be honest about this, like stop the clock, start the clock when you get on the phone with them, and then when you get off the phone, stop it, and then clock it and see how many minutes. How can an agent do more of that? And is it just about tracking? Is it about focus? Do you think they're scared? Can you talk a little bit about that? Any insights you have?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing would be uh, challenge yourself to do more than one thing at a time with one initiative. So when you're doing marketing and when you're doing anything like that, let's say you're door knocking for an open house, and you're door knocking and you go out and you talk to some neighbors about that open house you're doing. Tell your seller that you did that. Tell your seller about the conversations you had. Now you are spending that little bit of time doing one initiative, and then it's doubling in its account back to your own client. Same with when you're doing an open house. Don't just have a sign in sheet. Actually, I tell people don't sign into my open house. I don't care. Instead, take that away from them. When they scan a QR code, they can scan that QR code if they want, and I give value in what I'm offering. But the best part is there is a meta ad, meta tag behind that QR code. So there's a 311 rule in marketing right now. It used to be 11 touch points and you're good. But now we have what's called the 311 rule. It's three platforms, 11 touch points for people to trust and believe you because there's so much marketing noise out there. So if I'm at an open house, that's one medium in person. If they scan anything and fill stuff out to get a value PDF back, now I'm showing up in their inbox. That's a second medium. And then with that meta tag, I'm showing omnipresent on their social media for $2 a day, which makes it my third medium. So three different platforms, 11 touch points. And that builds a relationship with me as a brand. They could love or hate me, but it's a relationship that I'm building without doing any more than hosting a 2-hour open house.
That's really good. Um, All right. So that's what you brought in. You brought the marketing prowess into, you brought the sales prowess into. Now, the first 3 months, what were the action steps? So you got your license. What did you do within the first 6 months to be able to generate new business?
I started doing open houses. My first deal I ever did was a good friend of mine. He was a one of my groomsmen, and Dan will ever for always be my first transaction I've ever done. Sold his house, helped him buy something. But then I started jumping into open houses. Once I realized, as someone who had to always hunt for business in all the sales jobs I've had, and go out there, knock on doors, get business cards, and I was like, wait, I can hold an open house and people come to me, which is we talked about it before. And that's search marketing. Then you're like, hold on, I'm cutting down the funnel a lot further down, and I'm getting people in a better stage and adding value. And so I started doing that. In my first year of business, I made $300,000, and it completely changed my entire life. I was so far in debt. The first 6 months I was working full time in Toronto and working in real estate. And then after that, it just skyrocketed. I sold 67 houses the second year, but that was a year that my entire business had to change because that's when the pandemic hit. And I got my first tax bill and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I gotta pay how much money in income tax? This is ridiculous." And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit and I was like, "I can't do open houses anymore." So I had to revert back to my marketing, get into digital ads, run into automation, figure out how to do more, better to pay things off.
So do you still recommend to agents today to do open houses if they're within the first 6 months? And what else would you say to do if you were to give any advice to new agents getting into the business?
100% do that. I would 100% do that. So, first off, get your Google My Business. That is one of the most underrated social media platforms you can do. Then, I don't know how to do it on an Android. All I've got is an iPhone. Uh, but with your iPhone, you want to make sure your location services is on. Take a photo of that open house. Try and stay within a neighborhood, and you can start digital geo farming an entire canvas in a neighborhood. With your geolocation on, you take a photo of that house and you make a post, not upload a picture, but you make a post to your Google My Business from that location. And then Gemini, because when you search realtor near me, or think about last time you just search for a restaurant, you're like, I kind of want Italian food tonight, Italian food near me. Gemini will trigger on the near me, which is a map based search, not an information based search. So with the geotagging of every property that you are at with an open house, you can say that Gemini will recognize you, Mark Faris, sells in this area. So if you're looking for a realtor near me, this is a trusted person that I can put you in front of. And that's just one small way of working on your SEO so you're found with these AI bots.
Donald, that's they're simple ideas, simple to do, but not easy to do. As in, like you just actually got to do the thing, right? You got to slow down to actually do the thing. And like with open houses, it really doesn't cost anything, right? It's just intentionality and consistency with that as well. I like the suggestions you gave to be able to stack even more value. And one of the other things you said earlier is like if you're doing something, you might as well repurpose it and get extra value from doing the thing. Uh, like for example, I know Tony Robbins talks about when he's exercising, he's listening to something in Audible, and he's rather than listening to nothing or music, he's actually taking in and he's learning as he's exercising as well. So it's like stacking something together. But what you said in regards to communicate the value you're doing behind closed doors, and I think that's something where a lot of agents they'll do a bunch of work, but then they don't tell the client what it is that they did, so the client doesn't register value received because you didn't stop and slow down to actually tell them all the work that you're doing as well. So I think that point is so valuable. What else do you think agents, when it comes to that principle, could do to be able to get more of out of the things that they're probably doing already?
It's communication. It's always breaking down to the communication. The more you communicate with your active clients, the better. Because if you have in I have what's called the attack, ATAC, always thinking about clients. So I have that on my whiteboard, and it just anything that I do, I think of, okay, how can I even communicate more? Now I've pretty much exhausted all avenues of what I do in a day uh, to make that happen. But if there's ever a new way that I'm like, oh, I tried something out of the box, let's communicate that to my client as well. to show that I am actively working. I'm not just sitting back waiting for the phone to ring. So always thinking about clients. Every single week, our clients get a full wraparound, all the digital ad spend, all the impressions, clicks, the feedbacks, everything about their property. We have in a PDF that goes out consistently every Tuesday. So I don't have to worry about jumping on the calls and spending more time de-escalating them. Their anxiety is already dropped, and I've gotten proactive with my approach instead of reactive because I'm not communicating enough.
So, what else have you implemented, automation or AI in where you're like, you see most agents not doing it? What would be like, are there 2 to 3 examples where you're like, "I've automated this and this has saved me so many hours," but, I've seen most agents out there, they're not even doing this, and it does not take that much time to implement. Can you give a few examples so that the agents can register what it is you're talking about?
Yeah, our listing report 100% is the best thing that I can imagine, like, telling anyone to do. Every Tuesday, they get an entire 360 of their property. Everything that's happened on their property, it's all given, the analytics, the hit counts, all the Google ads, everything there. That's definitely one of my biggest strengths that I've seen so far come back. Another thing that I've actually seen a lot of automation come back to us in is I've cloned myself into ChatGPT, and it's not hard. I can do the same thing with you in 10 minutes. And so it will read and write and sound like me. And so in 10 minutes, I can create a very high level blog, send that to my virtual assistants, and then they begin to do what's called parasite SEO. Not parasite as in the bug or whatever, but like paratrooping. I'm dropping SEO into a known trusted platform like LinkedIn and backlinking it to my own webpage. So things like that is incredibly helpful. That little bit of automation. Last year we were talking about it, I got 7 clients just from that 10-minute a month blog. Another thing that's also within social media is if you're a friend of mine on Facebook and you're watching this, I'm gonna break the news to you. I didn't actually wish you a happy early birthday. I'm consistently wishing everyone a happy birthday 3 days before their birthday, unless you're on the weekend, then it's could be 4 because maybe your birthday's a Monday. But that's my virtual assistant going in there saying happy early birthday to everyone for multiple reasons. Because we talk about stacking initiatives here. It's one to start the conversation with you. If you send a DM back to me, I stay top of your feed for 45 days. Then the more you interact with my stuff, the more you stay top of feed. I get 4 or 5 clients a year probably from that initiative that is just automated. Now, if you respond to anything in there, it's me responding back and starting the conversation and having the conversation with you. But my virtual assistant, who's incredible, starts the conversation, and it's a very quick and easy thing to do.
Stack your efforts. So good. It's a simple principle, but it's powerful because when you do it consistently, it's one thing to get it once, but if you do it month after month, year after year, all of a sudden it becomes like, oh my goodness, this could be like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Right. It just makes me. It reminds me that if you double your if you have no new leads and you double your conversion rate at between leads to appointments, appointments to agreement, agreement to firm, firm to referral, you can like 10x your income with no new leads. And this idea of like ongoing consistency and focusing on small improvements over time, it compounds into massive results.
And the crazy thing is, like, if you talk to my wife, actually, there's a thing called a Colby Index, which is incredible, and I would recommend those try it. It's kind of like Disc, but it's very different. And the Colby Index, I'm a very small percentage. I think 3% of the people in the world actually have what I have, and I'm what's called a systems breaker. So I'm good at creating a system, but then I will muddy it up and break it. I'm also horrible. I might be the worst person you will ever meet at consistency. So instead, I hired virtual assistants and built a team to be consistent for me. So Marifer's one job is every month, starting the 10th of the month, and she's got to message me every single day for that blog. Sometimes I get it to her that day. Sometimes it's 2 weeks late, but she constantly stays on me until I get it done. So it's like having people hold me accountable because I am not consistent in anything I do. And that's also why I built the systems we have. So if we have a new listing, I know you're one of the best there is in that area. But if I was selling your house, I would go to my phone. We built a whole automation tool into the back of our CRM. I will sit beside you and do what's called prescription selling. I'll open up the CRM, I'll go to your contact, I'll hit edit, and then I am literally ordering different pieces of marketing for your listing beside you, which then again stacks my effort. I'm not telling you I'm doing marketing. I'm showing you the marketing you're getting. And I'm prescribing what the marketing plan is for your house. So in real time, we're creating a marketing plan for you. Now, when I hit save, send, my team gets it, and while I sleep overnight, because the one that gets it's from the Philippines, 85 tasks get automatically sent out to 8 virtual assistants. So by the time I wake up in the morning, there's about 20 to 25 tasks already done for your property. Can I be consistent on that every single time? No. But because of the tools and because of the amazing virtual assistants that I have, they're consistent for me, so I don't have to be.
So how much, with virtual assistants there, how much time do you spend on training to be able to get them to that point? Because I know that's for some agents, like, I don't have time to train anybody, right? So have you kinda nailed it down as to it takes me about X amount of hours to train them to do the thing?
Yes, the best way to do it, and that's actually a question for my wife because she does most of the training, but I can kind of give you a little inside scoop on that. And that is one, when you're hiring them, we don't use a company, we go direct to them. So my wife actually has a special license to the Philippines to get people who are quality. And then you'll go direct to them. You'll interview them like you anybody else. Now they really want the job, so they might say that they're really good at something, and you need to give them a test. You give them a project. You're kind of vague with it. You see how and I have we love it when they start asking us more clarifying questions. But we want to give them a project, we want to give them a test, and then we want to see what they're going to do back, and then analyze and evaluate their project as if you were in grade 7 school again, and then mark it, grade it. And then, is this someone that you can work with? And even if it's not great, but it's along the right path, give some feedback and criticism. Ask them to fix the issues. If they can fix it, then you know they're coachable. And if they're coachable, then you can probably bring them on board and start them off with one thing at a time. Don't say, okay, here's my business, go to town. They're not system makers. They're not creating new systems for you. Very few will. Instead, they're task takers. They're going to take the task done the way that you want them. You still have to train. If you think about it, we're from Canada, so McDonald's and Tim Hortons, they're both fast food. But if you're hired at McDonald's and then you go get a job at Tim Hortons, you can't just show up and be like, "Okay, well, I know what I'm doing." No, there's new things. So you start with one job at a time. Maybe they're just creating Canva templates for your open house, and then you're gonna expect them to take longer. And then once they start getting things done faster, then you add the next task and the next task. And then Martha's been with you for 4 years. She does everything graphic related. She's phenomenal. And Donna is our customer service manager. She's been with us for almost 3.5 years. They're phenomenal at what they do. And if you want to do training, there's an app called Komodo, which I can send a link because I actually did get a sponsorship from them. We use them that much. There's an app called Komodo that it just makes it so easy, especially with the time change and even if there's a language barrier, because Komodo has an AI tool into it. Where not only are you making a video, I would hit Komodo right now then push play and go 3, 2, 1 and start recording my screen. But it records my screen, so I show them, you'll see my Komodos. I'm like, hey, Marfer, this is what I'm thinking for this. Kind of give them an idea, run through it, and then I'll hit end, and then it'll give me a link. I send her the link, and then when she opens it up, there's the video, there's the transcript. So if she's a little confused, she can copy and paste it into her own language. There's also action items. There's also a manager spot where it gives you the key activity and the context as to why I want this, and it gives a full AI breakdown on top of that too for chapters.
So for the listeners, give some context as the percentage of cost savings. So if you were to have to hire somebody locally compared to a virtual assistant overseas, what's approximate cost savings on a percentage basis that you've been seeing?
All right, so a good way to look at that. Our minimum wage is almost $19 an hour now. So even for a decent admin, you're gonna look at 20 to $22 an hour probably in Canada. Our virtual assistants are 7 to 7.25 an hour. So really, it's 3 of them to 1 of ours. But the one thing that, and again, you've got some amazing, admin that you have working with you that are phenomenal, and I love how loyal they are, and I love that for you. But one thing that I've noticed from people that I've hired in Ontario is you will never have someone work as hard as they will in the Philippines, or Argentina, or Nigeria. Those are the 3 areas that we usually have. We've had Morocco. We have also a one-off guy that we use here and there in India. But, um, like, a great example is Marfor last year during typhoon season, which is really bad for them. She messaged us saying, "Hey, there's a typhoon here. I don't have internet access." And we're like, "Okay, we understand. Take the day off." And by the time she responded back, because she finally had reception again, she's like, "No, I got on my moped and I've driven an hour and a half through the rain to get to a cafe that has a backup generator and
Yeah.
internet. So I will be working a full shift." And I'm like,
That's
"What?"
the employee of the year award right there.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's one of those things that we're grateful for,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
common practice for someone over there who's very
yeah.
excited about their job.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's good, really good insight for the listeners, both on the training and then the hiring and the cost savings standpoint. Um, Donald, how would you compare so there's AI agents that are getting built out there right now. And I know that you have a background in AI as well. You have a number of different platforms that's using it right now. There's a lot out there right now, and it's early stage. It's not early stage, but there's still. I heard a stat where it's like, oh, most companies are already implementing it, but the companies that are actually implementing it at that next level are like it's below 10%. I think it was around 7% or whatever. There's still so many companies that haven't even scratched the surface. I'm talking about just past, ChatGPT that's actually using AI on their day-to-day processes and standardization. How would you compare like an AI agent, so it's built out through AI compared to VA? And do you think that that's an area where agents should be starting to double down on? And how do you even start?
Yeah, well, the easiest way to jump into it right away, and this is what I do, so a lot of my blogs and articles that I write, and sometimes I'll write them off the cuff if something comes in, at 10:15 every morning, Monday through Friday, because as you would know in our area, real estate news comes out at 10 AM usually. So 10:15 AM, everything that we use in our entire ecosystem lives in Google. So G Suite. Something like Outlook, I don't know that system too well, but G Suite has an amazing thing called, Workspace, or Google Workspace, or Flow. It used to be called Flows, and it's got these 2 little, I don't know, triangle, arrow thingies on it, but you can go in there, and every day at 10:15, I get an update on the exact news that I want. So it's like it's what's called an RSS feed built into the back of it. It searches and scours all Google, uh, catalog news for headlines. And so what it'll do, I have it set to sports teams that I like and follow. I set it to Southern Ontario. I set it to Hamilton, Ontario, and I set it to real estate. All of it's real estate specific. So every morning at 10:15 in my Google chat, this AI automation bot summarizes all those articles for me into 250 characters. And if I read the 250 characters and I'm still intrigued, it has a link that I can click on and I can go to the article. But then within that article, I can grab the URL of it, drop it into ChatGPT, and have it repurpose that entire article in my words for social media so I can do a fast post within seconds while I'm at the gym. So that's like one easy way to start doing it. It sounds very complicated, but the beauty of the G Suite is that there's so much built in already. So you don't have to try too hard. You just follow the template and then adjust. But as far as other things that are were more like GenSpark, more agentic, agentic levels, that's great too. And even if you do have the G Suite business account, then you can go into Gemini, open up Gemini completely separate. You have the ability to create things within Gemini and then have it code with JSON tags or hex tags into other platforms that Gemini has. For a great example is I speak a lot, and sometimes, especially with my procrastination mentality, I'll get busy 2 days before I'm supposed to go speak, and I'm like, "Ah, crud. I was supposed to create slides, and now I don't have the time, and I'm not gonna ask my girl in the Philippines to pull a 24-hour shift because of my stupidity." So, literally the last one that happened last week, I was doing a masterclass on, I can't remember what aspect of marketing it was, and so I just went into Gemini, I had it interview me, asked me 10 questions to interview me to pull out what I wanna speak about in the flow of a proper, um, presentation. I gave it some key nuggets. I also told to reference and read our website for the color coding of of everything, and then I had to drop it down into slides. So I went to, like, 26 slides, I trimmed that down to 20 slides, and then I asked it to make it all into hex codes for Google Slides. So once I had it, I just, like, copy, paste, and put it in and had Nano Banana take those codes that Gemini created for me and make my entire slide deck. It took me an hour, and I have an entire slide deck from nothing.
Would you say that Gemini for building out presentations, there's a lot. There's ChatGPT, there's Gemini, you got Claude. Is that has that been your experience? Gemini's been the best platform for building presentations out?
So Gemini is phenomenal, and so is GenSpark. GenSpark actually GenSpark's way more agentic, like in that agentic style of AI. What it does is it's an AI bot that utilizes and leverages other AI tools. So it will leverage ChatGPT or Claude, and it'll start pulling things out that way. It is the cheaper version of Perplexity's computer. So Perplexity computer is the strongest, most user-friendly agentic AI out there right now, but it is not cheap. So if you go on to Perplexity, which is the number one search engine in the world right now, it has outranked Google finally, then you'll see that they have the Perplexity computer. And that is like what you can do with that is insane, but it is not cheap.
Got it.
And you'll burn through credits fast.
Hey, hey, Donald, what would you say for building out agents' playbook? So their day to day, that's something there that you've done extremely well. You've systemized your business. The idea of actually writing down the steps that agents do on a day to day is like seems very foreign. It's like I know what to do. I don't need to write anything down. First question is that do you think that's even important that you get clear what it is you do on a day-to-day basis? And then the second question to follow up there is how do you recommend an agent actually do it? If you think it's a good thing or not?
Yeah. So my theory in my business is I'm the CEO of my company. That's the way I look at it. Now it's me, my wife, and another agent who's phenomenal. And I've got 8 virtual assistants. But in my company, my goal is to be the least important person at all times. The more I can be humbled and the least important person in my business, the better my business runs. I don't have to be the best at everything. The book from Jim Collins, Good to Great, is a great example of running a company like that. So, with all of that, if you were to just stop for a second and change industries for a second, because real estate agents sometimes have a hard time of, "Oh, I know everything about real estate. I've done an open house and now I'm great." No, everything should be automate, delegate, eliminate. Focus on as if we're trying to lose weight. I know what to do. Stop eating sugar. Stop eating carbs, doing all these things. But what are you actually doing? "Oh, I'm working out great." I went to the gym for 3 years just so I could eat whatever I want. And then I started hitting my late 30s, early 40s. I'm like, "This isn't working anymore. I actually have to stick to a plan." So what's the first thing they tell you to do with a nutritionist? Write down every meal you have. So the first thing that I would do is for 2 weeks, it's painful, but if you wanna change and you wanna buy back time, you need to do the hard stuff. And so that is 2 weeks, write down every 15 minutes of your day, and then read it through and figure out what can you automate, what can you delegate, and what can you eliminate. Often we're doing tasks because we wanna feel busy, but we don't need to do them. And if you're spending an hour on one social media post, like, stop. Like, action beats perfection every day of the week.
It's so good, and it's actually writing it down and getting clear what your steps are. It 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 actually it gives you something tangible to reflect on once you've done the thing to see how. like, it was what I'm doing the most efficient thing. So it gives you some sort of substance to be able to reflect on it and get clear what it is you're doing and the things to be able to cut. So even if you've been doing it for years, you'll realize once you write it down, it's like, why am I doing that? It reminds me of the story of the mom that that would cut, or the daughter that would cut the ends of the roast off from on each end. She would always cut the top and the bottom of it off. And then the daughter, there was somebody that came over to the daughter's and house is like, "Why do you do that?" I was like, "I don't know. My mom always did that." And then, she asked her mom, is like, "Why do I do that?" It's like, "Well, that's what my mom did." And then I went to grandma and it's like, "Why did we cut it? And why'd you cut it off?" And she said, "Well, the pot that I used wasn't big enough, so I had to cut the each end of it off to make it fit the pot." And they're like, "Oh, right." And the reality is we do processes like that all the time. It's like we do something because somebody told us to do it, or we done that just because we always thought it was. But there's lots of things, there's lots of low hanging fruit on a day to day basis. Like we can actually cut that. And once you write it down, it's like it's stark. I call it like it's kind of the truth teller, right? It's so stark and clear that you look at it and like, oh, like why am I doing it? And it forces you to improve. So I think it's a great process that you did, suggestion that you gave. It's really powerful.
Oh, yeah. And actually, and what's even crazier is try teaching someone what you do in a day, even if it's your dog. Just teach your dog what you do in a day. Because when you start doing that, a good example is right now in the agent league, we have the group coaching and we have all these different platforms in there. And I'm working on building a whole meta um, course, something that I spent $20,000 last summer on learning and breaking it down into a course. And so I got partway recording through it, and in full transparency, I'm not finished building the course yet, and it's been like 2 months. And I was like, "Why am I procrastinating so much? Like, I have to teach this to others, and why am I?" And the reason is I'm not happy with my current state of the funnels we use for selling houses. So I have to redesign all that stuff before I create that funnel. And so often if we're procrastinating, it's because there's something we're not happy with. And so you can fix that little link and then get it done. Just there's that book, Eat the Frog, and it's just you got to eat that frog. Sometimes you're just doing it because it sucks. Sometimes you're not doing it because you're not confident in what you got to do. So we'll fix the thing first and then get it done.
Yeah, for sure. And the encouragement there is once you do fix it, then you fix it for rest of your for the rest of your life, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like think of your future self, how happy they're gonna be. I fixed it, finally fixed the thing. It's like, I wish I would have fixed it earlier. I've been doing this for 5 years, hitting my head against the wall. So
Yeah, we have one of those like it's a toilet, but that like the button at the top where you push for the low flush or the big flush. And that thing, it's like we suffered for 2 years with that thing. My kids backing that up, like, and it didn't take much to back it up. It's just very low efficiency and low quality toilet apparently, that once we switched that thing out for one where we based it off how many golf balls it could flush, it was like and now it's like, you know how much time we got back from dealing with that plunger? That plunger used to sit beside the toilet. Now it sits outside.
yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, geez. Uh Yeah, this is, not only a real estate, this is a plumbing podcast, so you come on and get a lot of tips there. And I'm
There you
sure
go.
the reason I'm sure the parents out there that can totally relate with that whole idea with the plunger there in a big way. It's like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I should get the dual buttons at the top." Is it a big one or based on how many golf balls are put down? We gotta teach the kids, this is the big flush, this is a small flush. Alright. Yeah, I better move on here because we got the nugget, but we got to move on.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So listen, this is I think from the main takeaway I'm getting from this is there's so much low hanging fruit, and I think the main takeaway here that I want to like really impart and encourage the listeners to is a lot of this stuff is once you get onto it, you get really excited to be able to see how much time you'll actually save. And they build these tools in a way that the learning curve is very short as well. And so you could even take this idea even further. The reality is that you can get good at anything if you spend about 24 hours practicing or doing the thing. 24 hours would make you one of the best out there, right? Not a we'll not say like 10,000 hours where you're like the expert pro, but you're going to be proficient in it within 20. These tools right now, you can get proficient in it in like minutes. Is like minutes. And so it just takes some intentionality and speaking with somebody like Donald, listening to something like this and just going on and taking action is what can cut your learning curve and your day to day down in a massive way. So there's so much low hanging fruit is kind of the main takeaway here that I'd suggest. Donald, is there anything else before we move on from the AI and the systems and process that you want to
No, I'd
add?
say if you wanna, like, focus on AI and like you said, just to how fast you can learn, look up Notebook LM. So the fastest way that I learned, we were talking about how Tony Robbins listens to podcasts at the gym. I will take 5 or 6 different, YouTube videos, put them into Notebook LM, turn it into a 10-minute podcast, and then do 10 minutes of cardio on the elliptical, listening to that podcast, and now I've watched 3 or 4 hours worth of YouTube videos.
Oh, that's a good nugget for me. I never even thought of that. So you take Notebook LM and you basically you add 5 or 6 different podcasts on something you want to learn, and then it'll condense it into a 10-minute podcast to build.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And you'll get the main key nuggets. And so you're like 5xing your learning curve and you're not wasting with all the fluff. Is that right?
That's it. That's exactly how it works, and they're all Google products, so guess what? YouTube's from Google, so is Notebook LM from Google. They talk to each other.
Yeah, see, there you go. And like you just it never ends, right? And that's why listen, this is so powerful that you get around, you get around people like Donald, right? You're listening to these things because once you get one or two of these concepts and then the key is to take action on them and you start to work that as part of your day to day, like just think how much faster you're going to get ahead than your competition just by doing these things. And so getting around people, the right people and listening and then taking action. Man, I'd say, Donald, in today's market, the good are going to become way better, way faster. And the ones that are stagnant, that don't learn, the gap is going to get wider and wider as we go along. Would you agree with that?
100%, and if you actually look at historically, it's funny because when they introduced electricity into people's houses, there was a large amount of people that thought that that was demons coming in to this to the house. And so they procrastinated, like, no, we're not letting that in. So think of how much harder their life was to do anything because they're like, no, cross the arms. I'm not going to work with electricity, just like they're doing right now. I'm not touching AI because I refuse. It's here whether you like it or not. So you can adapt, you can use it. I would not replace the human element from it because the further AI gets into our life, the more IRL becomes important, which stands for in real life. So, if anything, the amount of value that people had on working with real estate agents before, I'd say is pretty low thanks to the pandemic.
So, Donald, that is such a great summary for AI, and how you've done that is something that I think a lot of agents can really think on and then start taking action. I love the electricity example. When it came, it was like a lot of people thought it was a bad thing, and so AI is here, just like the internet when it came. It changed everything in a big way, and the ones that take action earlier will be further ahead than the ones that don't. So, with all that being said, right now, Donald, we have 3 last questions here for you for rapid fire, and then we're
Sure.
gonna wrap up. So, I know you're a big reader. We were sharing some examples, before the podcast. What book do you think would make the biggest impact? So, the main question is which book has made the biggest impact in your career? I'm gonna add one for you. Which book do you think would help the agents listening today to be able to take action more on the AI or processes to be able to help them maybe take action on that as well. So there's two books if you can give.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess the first one, this one is the book that we were talking about. It is the book that got me into real estate. It's called God Space, Doug Pollock. Phenomenal book. And if you're to ask me my actual favorite book on how I run my business, is The Power of Moments by Dan and Chip Heath. It's a great book for anyone. So, especially in the world we live in, with there's a crisis every 10 minutes sometimes. But I'd say um, for just taking action, oof, really anything from Gary Vaynerchuk is just about working, right? But I don't know. Your next 5 moves, Patrick Bet David, probably. That's one about taking action, which I have that book right here too. Or Nudge. These 2.
Your next 5 moves, yeah. Well, Patrick Bet-David, he's a ninja business guy. Nudge as well. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. And you had given a really good book suggestion when we were talking offline, Eat That Frog, by
Yes.
Brian Tracy as well. That's another really good nugget, that you shared. So lots of great books. And by the way, quick tip here for you: when you buy the book, the physical book, buy the Audible and then speed it up to 1517 and have a blue pen and underline those key ideas that you really love. There's a contrast between the blue ink uh, and the black ink that actually anchors it even further. So there you go. All right, so we got the book out of the way. How about the three the 3 words that best describe you? What would those 3 words be?
The 3 that I get often, and I was talking with my wife before, about this, so it'll be I get genuine a lot. So genuine's 1. I get the AI ninja a lot. Uh, so which is probably comical, given the state that I live in. And then the last one I'd say is definitely innovative, because a lot of times something along with innovation, thinking outside the box, I'll look at something and I'll challenge, why are we doing it this way? Now, like that's my biggest thing is like, why do we have to do it this way? Why do I have to run an open house like this? Why do I have to submit to, like you said, why are we cutting the ends of the row stuff? I'd be the one that be like, okay, cool, you're cutting that off. I'll see it once or twice and be like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. Let's get a bigger pot.
Yeah. That's really good, and it's like, we gotta be more childlike, right? And I think that's where from imagining to, like, questioning, it's like, "Well, why do we do that?" It's like they don't have any sort of, like, filter, which is a really good question to ask on things, right? And to challenge the status quo because there's a lot of silly things that happen in a big way, so very cool.
And actually, yeah, a little plug for what you just said there. That is the biggest downfall for AI. And the more AI comes into our life, the more you're going to see that become a challenge, because AI just regurgitates well known information. It doesn't challenge why we're doing things. So people like Einstein, who constantly challenged why, those brilliant minds, that is going to fade faster. That's probably one of the biggest downfalls of AI, because it just regurgitates known facts. So,
Sounds like a good prompt to give it. Challenge me on every answer that I give, right? So, yeah, uh,
yeah.
very cool. All right, so we got the second. Well, how about final advice for my last question here for you, Donald? Final advice you give the agents to help take their business to the next level.
Yeah, honestly, action beats execution every time. And so don't worry about being perfect. One of my favorite quotes is, the acquisition of knowledge will equal satisfaction, but the application of knowledge will equal fulfillment.
So good. Uh, Another way to say that, go ahead, take action. There's lots in store for you if you just do the thing. So very good, Donald. What's the best way the listeners can reach out? Maybe they might have a buyer or seller they want to refer to you in the Hamilton area, or maybe they want to find a little bit more about the Agent League coaching platform. Maybe you could share a little bit about the platform, what it is, and then the best way they can reach out to you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, Donald Porter. You can find me on Instagram. It's me, Donald Porter. We're on Instagram with the Agent League, like at the Agent League, and then there's actually a free Facebook community for agents, because I genuinely want to help this industry level up, and it's called Strategic Marketing and Strategies with AI. Or so strategic. I'll actually send it to you because I can't remember the actual name of it. But there is actually a Facebook community for it, only for real estate agents. We are pretty thorough on making sure it's only real estate agents in there. And the platform is literally, it is a group community, a VIP community, where we have over 90 modules of things that agents can use as a resource library, and they have access to that for life once they come on board, and they can use it to level up. It's challenging their marketing. There's a weekly call with me and a weekly call with my wife, Julia. She's more systems and operations and VA hiring. I'm more focused on marketing innovation. An example is for all of April, I'm helping agents who are on the calls build out their email marketing. So, not just newsletters, because I think that's actually a giant waste and you're hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself unless you're doing it to only past clients, but proper email marketing so that way you can automate more of those drip campaigns and they're not just template stuff. Because if you're just using the templates, guess what? If they went to a realtor.ca leader or whatever it is, and they go to a house and then you start putting them on a drip campaign and someone has the exact same CRM and you both haven't changed the templates, they're getting the same emails and text messages like, oh, this sounds exactly like this other agent. There's no difference between these two. And so you've just lost all your unique selling propositions. So we're in the month of April. That's what I'm doing with our entire VIP community is I am helping them build proper email sequences and marketing. So that way we can take them from a cold to a warm to a hot email sequence and then do what's called the wheel of pain. So pain, problem, consequence, the story, and then I'll take them all the way through instead of just me sending you an email. Hey, you ready to buy a house yet? And you're like, what? I don't even know you. I'm not even problem aware yet. So that's kind of what we're about. We just want to, I truly just want to find out where our agents are and lift them up at least 2 levels.
Yeah, amazing. Donald, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you sharing all your wisdom.
Well, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. It's been an honor.
Right on. And thank you everyone for listening. I know you would have got a lot of value from today's conversation with Donald. And if you liked it, you can go ahead and share it with another real estate agent that you think will get value from it. I love you guys and keep on going full out.